Have you ever looked back at a relationship, remembered everything you gave, your time, your energy, your money, your soul, and thought, she never really loved me, not the way I loved her? Maybe she smiled, she said the right things, maybe even cried in your arms once or twice. But deep down, something always felt off, like she was never really there. Not the way you were. You gave her everything. And what did she give back? Silence, distance, betrayal. Or maybe just that, slow cold fading away. We've seen it happen too many times. Men walking into love with open hearts and walking out shattered. Why does it always feel like we cared more? Why do some of us give our all and still end up alone, confused, and empty? This isn't just bad luck. It's not just about choosing the wrong one. There's a deeper game being played here, and most men have no idea they're even in it. But one man saw it for what it really was. His name was Arthur Schopenhauer. Almost 2 centuries ago, he pulled the mask off love and showed us what hides underneath. He didn't say what we wanted to hear. He said what we needed to know. And most people ignored him. But not today. Today, we're not going to sugarcoat anything. No fairy tales. No fake comfort. Just real talk. Truth you were never told about love, women, and the pain so many men live in silently. We're not here to bash anyone. We're here to wake up. So stay with us, because once you hear this, something inside you will shift, and you'll never see things the same way again. If this already feels like something you wish you'd heard years ago, like the missing piece that finally makes sense, hit that like button. Leave us a comment. Share it with a friend who needs it. And don't forget to subscribe. This isn't just a video, it's a wake-up call. Let's begin. From the time we're boys, we're told a story. It starts with a hero. He's brave, loyal, ready to fight for love. He sees a woman, usually beautiful, kind, and not like the others. And what happens? He falls hard. He gives her everything. In the movies, she always loves him back. They ride off into the sunset. Happy ending. That's the story we've been fed for years. Cartoons, songs, romantic comedies, they all push the same message. If you just love hard enough, if you're a good man, she'll see your worth. She'll stay. She'll love you just as much. That's the reward. That's the dream. Now let's talk about reality. Because a lot of us lived that dream and got crushed by it. We did everything the story said. We gave, waited, forgave. We kept hoping. And in the end, we were left staring at a woman who felt miles away emotionally, even if she was sitting right next to us. That's where the confusion starts. Because deep down, we start wondering, did I ever matter to her the way she mattered to me? Let's not lie to ourselves. Most of us were never taught how to actually understand love. We were only taught how to chase it. And that chase for many men becomes an obsession. We believe that finding the right woman is the key to being whole, to being validated, to finally feeling enough. But what if that belief is part of the problem? Let's pause here and look at something real. One of you watching this has probably gone through this exact thing. You met someone, you felt a spark, and you thought this was it. You started adjusting your life around her, stopped seeing some friends, started spending money you didn't really have, ignored the red flags, and even when she started pulling away, you told yourself it's just a phase. You stayed loyal, you kept trying, but in the end, she walked away like it was nothing. And you were left there, confused, hurt, maybe even ashamed. That feeling doesn't come from weakness, it comes from betrayal. Betrayal not just by her, but by the dream you were sold. Another guy we spoke to was engaged. He thought he had found the one. She said all the right things, talked about the future, talked about kids, family. He was saving for a house. She was planning vacations. It all seemed perfect until she cheated. Not once, not by accident, but with someone she told him not to worry about. He still asks himself, was it ever real? And maybe the real question is, was it ever about me? You see, this is what nobody tells us growing up. Love, as we're taught, is often just a fantasy, a script written by people who never cared about the truth. It's designed to keep us hoping, trying, sacrificing, and we buy into it because we want it to be true. We want to believe that love is the reward for being a good man, that loyalty, patience, and sacrifice are enough. But what if that's not how it works? What if the story was never about your happiness at all? What if love, at least the way it's sold to men, is more about control than connection? That's the part they leave out. The part where being a good man doesn't guarantee anything. The part where effort doesn't always get returned. The part where love is not always mutual and often not even real in the way you thought. This isn't about making you bitter. It's about making you see. Because once you understand that you've been taught to chase a fantasy, you can stop blaming yourself when it all falls apart. You can start asking better questions. What do I want from love? What am I giving up to keep chasing something that doesn't give back? You can start protecting yourself, your peace, your purpose. We're not saying stop loving. We're saying wake up before you get pulled into something that takes more than it gives. If you've ever felt like you were doing all the work in a relationship, emotionally, financially, mentally, you're not crazy. You were told that's what it means to be a man. Provide, protect, persist. But at what cost? That's what we're here to unpack. The truth behind the dream. And why it's left so many men broken, ashamed, and angry at themselves. Not because they were weak, but because they believed too hard in something that was never built to hold them. Stick around, because in the next part, we're going to pull the mask off this illusion completely. You think you've heard hard truths before? This next one hits deeper. And if this message already speaks to what you've lived through, don't just keep it to yourself. Hit the like button, drop a comment, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And make sure you subscribe. We're not done, we're just getting started. We've all been told that love is about connection, that it's something sacred, that when we fall in love, it's our heart choosing someone who completes us. But here's the uncomfortable truth. What if none of that is real? What if the thing you called love is just nature doing its job? What if what you felt wasn't about happiness at all, but about survival? That's what Arthur Schopenhauer saw over 200 years ago. While everyone else was busy writing poems and love songs, he looked at love like a trap. Not in a romantic way, but in a biological way. He said, "Romantic love is the puppet of the will to life." In simple terms, that means what we feel, as passion, attraction, or obsession, isn't personal. It's nature using us, using our emotions, using our bodies, to get one job done: reproduction. You weren't falling for her eyes or her laugh. You were falling because, deep down, your biology saw a chance to create life. That's why it felt so intense. That's why you couldn't think straight. That's why even when your brain told you to slow down, you kept pushing forward. Nature doesn't care about your plans. It only cares about continuing the species. And it's very good at tricking you into helping. Look at it closely. Why do most men feel pulled toward women who are young, fertile, glowing with beauty? It's not logic, it's instinct. You think you're choosing freely, but really your biology is doing the picking. And once it locks onto someone, it floods your system with chemicals: dopamine, testosterone, oxytocin. These aren't love potions. These are control tools. Tools to make you attach, to make you ignore the red flags, to make you sacrifice. Because nature's only goal is to make sure you stay long enough to make a child and maybe stick around to raise it. You can call that love, but Schopenhauer called it something else. He saw it as a trick, a useful illusion, one that pulls men in, makes them forget themselves, makes them commit to something they didn't really understand. And once nature gets what it wants, once the reproduction is done, the illusion often fades. That burning obsession turns cold, the passion vanishes, and suddenly, the person you thought was your soulmate feels like a stranger. There was a guy we met who said he was deeply in love for the first time at 27. He said everything about her felt right. Her voice, the way she moved, even the smell of her hair. He thought it was a cosmic sign. They got married in less than a year. A kid came soon after. And then, just like that, the energy between them was gone. She became distant, cold. They fought over everything. No more late-night talks. No more affection. He told us, "I feel like I was drugged the whole first year." That's not rare. It happens more often than you think. And it's not because either person is evil. It's because something else was driving the whole thing. Something older than logic. Something deep in your biology that doesn't care if you're happy. It only wants to keep the species going. Schopenhauer wasn't trying to make us hate love. He was trying to make us see it for what it is. Once you see that love isn't always about emotion, but about instinct, you start to understand why men lose themselves in it, why we chase women who aren't good for us, why we ignore warning signs, why we give everything, even when we shouldn't. Think about it. When a man is in love, really in it, he starts doing things that don't make sense. He'll cancel plans, spend money he doesn't have, change his whole personality just to keep her interested. He calls it devotion. But often, it's biology pushing him into the role of protector, provider, reproducer. Nature doesn't need him to think straight, it just needs him to stay long enough to finish the mission, and it works. Because when a man is under that spell, he'll believe anything. He'll think this time is different. That this woman is special. That their bond is unique. But it's the same story again and again. The illusion looks different, but the function is always the same. Get two people to come together, make a child, move on. This isn't about hating women. They're caught in the same system. Their instincts are working too. But for men, the danger is in thinking love equals meaning, that it will solve the emptiness, that it will give us peace. That's where so many get lost. Because the more you believe it's about personal happiness, the more broken you feel when it doesn't work out. If love was truly what we think it is, why would so many relationships collapse right after children come into the picture? Why do so many people say it all changed after the baby? Because the job was done. Nature doesn't need to keep the illusion alive anymore. The contract is over. We're not telling you to stop loving. We're saying, know what it is. Understand what's really happening behind the scenes. That way, you don't lose your head. You don't give up your future chasing something that's been programmed into you. You can love, but love with your eyes open. And if this hit a nerve, if this is making you rethink some past relationships, you're not alone. Many of us have been through it. That's why we're having this conversation. To help you see through the fog and protect yourself before it's too late. If you've ever felt like something didn't add up, like you were being pulled into something deeper than emotion, now you know why. So if this makes sense to you, if it connects with something you've lived or something you're starting to see, hit like, leave a comment, share this video with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel. Because the next part goes even further. We're going to talk about how nature plays even dirtier than you think. Stay with us. You won't want to miss it. Let's be honest, most men don't fall into love. They get pulled hard, like a fish hooked and dragged without even knowing it. And the worst part, nature's the one holding the line. See, what many of us don't realize is that this thing, we call love at first sight or instant connection isn't some magical force. It's bait. Perfectly timed, perfectly packaged bait, and we, like fools, bite every time. It's not random either. Nature knows exactly what works on men. It puts beauty on display during a woman's peak fertility years. It makes her eyes shine, her skin glow, her smile magnetic. Her voice gets softer, her laugh warmer. Suddenly we feel something we can't explain. We think we're choosing, but we're just reacting. To the show, to the signals, to the illusion. And here's where it gets dangerous. That charm, it doesn't last. Not because she changes overnight, but because nature only needs it to last long enough to make us commit. That's the trick. Pull a man in with softness, with youth, with desire. Then once he's locked in, the mask can drop. Not because she's fake, but because the performance has done its job. The hook is in. One of our viewers told us something that stuck with us. He said, "When I first met her, I thought she was a dream. Everything she did turned me on. I'd smile just hearing her name. Now, 4 years and 2 kids later, she's distant, cold, and I don't even recognize her voice." That's not just relationship fatigue. That's what happens when the illusion fades. When nature gets what it wants, it stops paying attention to the presentation. The show ends, the curtain drops. And it's not only him. We've heard this story in so many forms. Another guy explained how his girlfriend used to dress up for him every weekend, always smiling, always touchy. Then once they moved in together, things changed. Not overnight. But slowly, little things disappeared. Affection turned to routine. Excitement became tension. He started wondering if he'd done something wrong. But in reality, he hadn't changed. The setup had. The mission was already accomplished in nature's eyes. They were now in a long-term bond. The urgency was gone. You see, nature doesn't want you to be happy forever. It wants you to stay just long enough to build something stable, a nest, a safe zone for reproduction. That's where the trick really kicks in. The fire you felt in the beginning, it was never built to last. It was built to trap. You were never falling in love. You were falling into the plan. Science calls it post-coital tristesse, that wave of sadness or emptiness some men feel right after sex. It's not just a mood swing, it's a flash of clarity. A moment where the biological fog clears, and we suddenly ask ourselves, why was I so obsessed a minute ago? Schopenhauer said it straight. Nature sets the stage, gives you the illusion of romance, and the second it's done with you, it lets go. You're left holding the pieces, trying to understand why the magic's gone. Now think about how this plays out long term. Many men enter relationships thinking the passion they felt at the start will stay forever. But when it fades, they panic. They try to reignite it. They buy gifts, plan vacations, start overthinking. They think they're the problem. They blame themselves for something that was never meant to last in the first place. Nature just needed you to fall hard enough to stick around, to provide, to stay. And it works. Because most men are wired to protect and build. We think responsibility and loyalty will save the relationship. Meanwhile, she may not even be fighting the same battle. That glow, that pull she once used, it's gone. And it's not coming back, not because she's cruel, but because it's no longer needed. This isn't about painting women as villains. That would be too easy and wrong. They're playing their role in the same biological game. Nature uses both sides. But here's the catch. Men suffer more because they often tie love to purpose, to identity, to meaning. When the spell breaks, it doesn't just hurt, it wrecks them. Because what they thought was real turned out to be a setup. Carefully designed, perfectly timed. You don't have to fall into this again. You can see the pattern. The glow that pulls you in, the heat that clouds your judgment, the calm that slowly kills the spark. It's not a mystery. It's a system. And once you know how the system works, you don't get played so easily. We're not saying you can't love. We're saying know what you're walking into. Don't chase that early fire like it's proof of something divine. Understand what's pushing those feelings, and more importantly, understand when it starts to fade. It doesn't always mean failure. Sometimes it just means the trick is over. If this made you rethink that one relationship that left you questioning everything, hit that like button. Comment your thoughts. Share this with a friend who's in the middle of that silent confusion right now. And subscribe. Because in the next part, we're going to talk about how all of this connects to something even deeper. How women are shaped by nature to play their role, just like you. And why most men never see it coming. Don't go anywhere. Let's get something straight before we begin this part. This isn't about hating women. That's not the point. We're not here to blame or attack. We're here to understand. Because when you understand how something works, you stop being shocked by it. You stop getting hurt by it again and again. And that's exactly what Schopenhauer was trying to offer men. Not bitterness, but clarity. Now here's the truth he saw, and it's not easy to swallow. Women are not driven by the same forces as men. What pushes a man to love is not always what motivates a woman to stay. Men usually love with emotion first. Women, according to Schopenhauer, are wired by nature to prioritize survival. Their instinct kicks in before sentiment. It's not always something they're aware of. It's built in. Just like men don't choose who they're attracted to, women don't choose how their instincts are shaped. This is nature's design, not theirs. Schopenhauer noticed something most people still avoid saying out loud today. Women think in terms of short-term needs and immediate benefits. That doesn't mean they're cold. It just means they're wired to focus on security, stability, and survival, especially during their peak reproductive years. That's why a young woman's beauty shines so bright during a short window. Nature gives her that glow to attract a provider, to pull in a man who will offer protection and resources. Once the goal is reached, once she has what she needs, that glow fades. The intensity drops. And for many men, it feels like she changed. But really, the role she was playing is simply no longer needed. There was a guy we spoke to who had been married for 6 years. He told us when he met his wife, she was full of life, playful, sweet, constantly showering him with attention. He felt lucky, like he had found something rare. After they had their second child, things started to shift. She stopped showing affection, stopped asking about his day. Their conversations became about bills and groceries. One night during a quiet dinner, he looked across the table and thought, where did she go? The truth is, she didn't vanish. Nature just turned down the dial. The survival job was done. The instinct had no reason to keep the fire alive. Schopenhauer believed women are built for motherhood first, not emotional depth. That's a hard sentence to hear. But it explains a lot of things we experience. He called it the eternal child in women, not to insult, but to describe how nature shapes them. In his eyes, women are designed to be close to children, not just physically but emotionally. They live more in the moment. They react more than they reflect. They prioritize comfort, not philosophy, emotion, not abstract thinking. You might have noticed this without even realizing it. Maybe you tried to have deep conversations about the future, about purpose, about legacy, and got met with blank stares or, let's talk later. That's not a failure of intelligence. It's just a different operating system. Where men often chase meaning, women seek safety. Where men ask, why women ask what now? Schopenhauer also argued that what we see as manipulation is often just instinctive behavior. A woman might not plan to deceive, but if she feels threatened, uncomfortable, or like she's losing interest, her actions shift to protect her position. That might mean hiding feelings. That might mean emotionally checking out. That might even mean leaving altogether. Not necessarily because she wants to hurt you, but because staying no longer serves her deeper biological need. And in her eyes, it's justified. Now again, this isn't about painting women as villains. They're not scheming monsters. They're not soulless creatures. They're simply responding to their wiring, just like you do when you're pulled toward a woman's body without thinking. If we don't resent men for being visual, why would we resent women for being strategic? Another man shared with us how his girlfriend used to cry when he talked about leaving town for work. She used to say things like, "I can't live without you," and "You're my everything." He truly believed he was her anchor. But when he actually lost his job and had to cut back on spending, she became distant, cold. She didn't scream or blame. She just slowly drifted. Within 2 months, she was dating someone else, someone more stable. He was crushed. But now, looking back, he admits, she didn't change. She just followed her nature. That's what this part is about. Knowing the nature of things. Not so you grow bitter, but so you stop falling apart every time it doesn't go the way you thought. Because when you stop expecting her to act like you, when you stop expecting her to love like you save yourself from a lot of unnecessary pain. We are different. Men and women are not built the same. And once you accept that, your decisions become smarter. Your expectations become more grounded. You stop giving everything to a fantasy. You start protecting what matters most. Your purpose, your sanity, your peace. If what we're saying here is starting to shift something in you, hit the like button. Leave a comment. Tell us if this lines up with your experience. Share this video with someone who's still lost in the illusion. And subscribe, because we're about to go even deeper. In the next part, we'll break down the emotional cost men pay for chasing these ideals. What it does to your self-worth, your goals, and your future. Stay with us. You're not alone in this. Let's talk about what it really costs to believe in the wrong version of love. Not just the heartbreak, not just the breakup, but everything men quietly lose along the way. You see, when you fall into the story we're told about love, when you believe that loving hard is enough, that loyalty guarantees loyalty, you don't just risk being hurt, you risk being emptied, piece by piece, sometimes without even noticing. We've seen it. Maybe you have too. A man meets a woman and suddenly everything changes. He starts skipping gym sessions. He pulls away from friends. He says no to career, moves because she doesn't want him to be too busy. And at first it feels like a good thing, like love is making him a better man. But fast forward a few years and what do you see? He's tired. He's lost touch with who he was. The man with dreams, with energy, with fire in his chest, gone. There was a guy who told us about his college years. He had big plans, wanted to launch a business, travel, build something that mattered. Then he fell in love. Slowly, his schedule became her schedule. His money became their money. His vision? It got smaller. He didn't even notice it at first. But 10 years later, he looked in the mirror and said, "I don't know who I am anymore." And the woman? She left him the moment his energy dropped. Just walked out. No long talk, no breakdown. Just silence. That's what happens when your identity gets tied to someone else's presence. You stop being your own anchor. You give that power away. And when they leave, they don't just walk out with your time. They take your center with them. That's why it hurts the way it does. That's why heartbreak feels like death for some men, because it's not just rejection. It's the collapse of everything they built around that person. We don't talk enough about what men give up in love. We talk about what they provide, money, time, effort, but not what they surrender, purpose, confidence, direction. A man who puts a woman at the center of his life becomes fragile. Not because he's weak, but because he's betting everything on one person. And when that person changes their mind, he crashes. That's emotional dependency. And it's one of the most dangerous places a man can be, because it feels like love, but it's actually a slow erosion of self-respect, of control, of peace. You start needing her to feel okay, needing her approval to believe in yourself, and little by little you stop being a man. You become a shadow, following, hoping, pleasing. And the worst part, she can feel it. And the more you depend, the less she respects. Schopenhauer warned us. He said, "Never give your soul to the game nature wrote." Because nature doesn't care if you're fulfilled. It only cares that you play your part. And once you've played it, it moves on. And you're left broken, asking questions that never get answered. What makes it worse is that men often keep this pain to themselves. You won't see them crying in public. They won't post long messages online. They carry the weight in silence, at work, at the gym, with friends. On the surface, everything looks fine, but inside, they're drowning, confused, angry, numb. There's a man right now watching this who gave up a promotion because she didn't want him working late, who stopped talking to his best friend because she didn't like him, who started questioning his value because she stopped looking at him the way she used to. If that's you, hear this clearly. You are not crazy. You're not weak. You were just misled. And this is why these conversations matter. Because nobody told us that love could destroy a man when it's rooted in illusion. Nobody warned us that giving everything could leave us with nothing. Nobody said, "Hey, make sure you don't give up your life chasing someone who can walk away anytime." We're telling you now, not to scare you, but to protect you. Your purpose, your identity, your mission, these things must come first. Not because love isn't real, but because love isn't stable. People change, feelings fade. And if your entire world depends on her staying, then your world was never yours to begin with. You don't stop being a man when love ends. You stop being a man when you abandon yourself in love. That's the real loss. That's the real danger. And that's what we must stop repeating. If any of this hits you deep, take a second. Like the video, comment below, share this with someone who's walking the same path, and subscribe. Because what comes next might save you from making the same mistake twice. We're not here to make you give up on love. We're here to help you stop sacrificing yourself for a version of it that was never meant to serve you. In the next part, we're going to talk about the biggest illusion of all, the belief that love is equal, that if you love deeply, she'll love you the same way back. Stay tuned. What's coming might change the way you see everything. There's something we all need to say out loud. Most men are trying to win a game they don't even understand. A game they never signed up for, one where the rules keep changing and the scoreboard makes no sense. And by the time they figure that out, it's usually too late. They're already hurt, lost, or bitter. But here's the thing. Once you see what's really going on, you don't have to stay confused. You don't have to stay broken. This part isn't about blaming women or bashing love. We're past that. We've all felt the anger. We've all asked, why did she do that? Or how could she just leave like that? But staying in that pain won't help you. The real shift happens when you stop seeing her as either a villain or a goddess. When you finally see her as human, just like you, flawed, conflicted, driven by things even she might not understand. She's not your enemy, but she's not your savior either. And here's the mistake so many of us make. We put her at the center. We build our happiness around her. We make her love the prize, and when she pulls away or changes, we collapse. Not because she broke us, but because we made her our foundation. That was never her job, that was ours. You can't expect someone else to carry the weight of your identity, that's a recipe for destruction. We spoke with a man who said he used to see his ex as the best thing that ever happened to him. He thought she was special, rare, different from the rest. He ignored the warning signs. She'd disappear for days, dismiss his goals, flirt in front of him. But he held on, told himself she was just going through something, until the day she said, "I don't feel anything anymore." He hit rock bottom, not because she left, but because he realized he had abandoned himself years ago to keep her around. That's what happens when you idolize. You stop seeing clearly. You ignore reality. You bend who you are just to keep the fantasy alive. And when the illusion dies, it feels like you've lost everything. But the truth is, the real loss happened long before she walked away. It happened the moment you stopped being true to yourself. So what now? You wake up. You stop giving your energy to people who don't value it. You stop thinking that love will fix everything. You lead your life. You chase purpose, not people. You stop waiting to be chosen and choose yourself first. That doesn't mean closing your heart forever. That doesn't mean walking through life cold and distant. It means walking with awareness, seeing the game for what it is and playing it on your terms. Love if you must, but do it with both eyes open. Don't get lost in the charm, the beauty, the rush. Know what's behind it. Know what it can cost. Know who you are before you give yourself to someone else. Because when you walk in with clarity, you walk out with dignity, even if it ends. It's easy to be angry. It's easy to blame her, blame women, blame love itself. But anger without direction is useless. What's harder, but far more powerful, is learning to see clearly without falling into hate. To accept the truth without letting it harden you. That's where your real strength begins. We know some of you are listening to this and feeling something deep inside. Maybe you've been through it. Maybe you're in the middle of it right now. Let this be your moment to stop, to breathe, to step back from the chaos and finally see things for what they are. You're not here to chase anyone's love. You're here to build something real, with or without her. You're not a failure because someone didn't stay. You're not broken because the story didn't end the way you hoped. You just woke up. And waking up hurts, but it also saves you. If you've made it this far, that means something. It means you're ready to stop playing blind, ready to take control. And that's the first step to becoming a man who doesn't just survive heartbreak, but grows from it. If this spoke to you, like really spoke to you, don't just sit with it. Like the video, leave us a comment, share this with someone who's been walking around with silent pain, and subscribe, because we're not finished. The next part might be the one that finally puts everything into place. We're getting to the root. Stay with us. You're not alone. So now the question is simple. What do you do with all this? You've heard the truths. You've felt the weight of them. And maybe a part of you is still struggling to accept it. That's normal. Waking up isn't easy. It never is. Especially when you've spent years believing in something that was never built to hold you. You've got two paths now. You can stay asleep. Keep chasing the story they fed you. Keep believing that love will fix everything, that if you just try harder, sacrifice more, she'll stay. But deep down, you already know where that road goes. We've all been down it. It leads to heartbreak, to confusion, to losing yourself one compromise at a time. You survive, but you don't live. Or you can wake up, really wake up. See love for what it is. Not a promise, not a rescue mission, but a powerful instinct that can build you or break you depending on how you handle it. You can stop chasing the fairy tale and start building a life that actually belongs to you. One where love, if it shows up, is a choice, not your identity. We're not telling you what to believe, but now you know. You can't say no one warned you. You've seen how nature plays its part, how men fall, and how the illusion traps even the smartest of us. You can keep repeating the cycle, or you can start leading your own life, on your terms, with your eyes wide open. One of you watching this right now is on the edge, tired of pretending, tired of getting played. This is your moment. Don't ignore it. Take the truth, sit with it, and do something real with it. You don't need to hate love. You just need to stop letting it blind you. If this video hit you, if it gave you something no one else has told you, don't let it end here. Hit the like button. Leave us a comment. Share this with someone who's still chasing the wrong story. And make sure you subscribe. This isn't just another video. This is a shift. And sometimes, one honest message is all it takes to start waking up. Stay sharp. Stay aware. We're with you.